What's up, everybody? Troy Cartwright here. Welcome back to another episode of 10-Year Town. A couple housekeeping things before we get started. Next week, we are doing the Q&A episode, so if you have questions for me about the music business, about songwriting, get those submitted at 10yeartown.com. Also, if you have not, please make sure you're subscribed on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen. Thanks. Today's guest is Jacob Davis. I know it seems like I'm saying this almost every week, but this is truly one of my favorite episodes. Jacob talks about winning Song of the Year for Buy Dirt. He talks about his journey in Nashville, from college, playing in bars. He's so honest about his journey, and he had some really interesting things happen along the way that I think you'll find a lot of value in. So without further ado, here he is, Jacob Davis. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. Am I just going to sit down?
Just sit down.
Look at this, man. How are you?
I'm good, man.
Good to see you.
Good to see you,
This
dude.
is awesome.
Thank you for being here.
Dude, I'm happy to be a part of it. It's,
Oh.
You got a good thing going on, man.
Dude, it's going good, man.
Good.
It's going good.
You just going to get after it?
Yeah, dude, we'll just start talking.
All right.
Dude, what are you rocking? Is that a tag?
What's that? Yes, it is.
Nice.
Yeah, dude.
Fellow tag guy.
This is the first nice watch I ever bought.
It is currently my only nice watch. My dad gave it to me on my wedding day.
No way.
And he said, he was like, yeah, one day if you have a son, give it to him on his wedding day.
It's a good heirloom.
Yeah, dude, it is.
You know, this watch I bought at the King Jewelers in
Dude,
Green Hills.
So I have my eye on a new one. Yeah, I know. I'm kind of and I've gotten to the point where I've convinced my wife that it's not some things you buy, you're just spending money.
Sure.
A watch is something that you're buying, but you're not, if you treat it right and you buy the right piece, it's not super liquid, but it's not it's not a trip to Europe, right?
You feel the same way about guitars?
Yeah, but the thing about guitars is I love playing guitar.
Yeah.
But it's never
You're good at it.
It's never been I'm trying to think how to describe it. It's never been something that I want to collect.
Like an obsession?
Cuz I feel like I won't treat it well.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't actually bought a new guitar since 2006.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Dang.
Well,
dude.
I bought a $187 Gretsch acoustic on Amazon.
Oh, sweet. Did you just want that guitar?
Well, me and Ben work on a bunch of stuff together, and he has one in his studio, and I was like, "What is this?" It's a little parlor guitar.
Yeah.
Last time we were, I probably didn't have it yet, but I literally keep it in my car most days, and I don't have a case for it.
You just throw it over the back,
dude.
Just lunch pail it.
$180. I don't want it to fall apart, but if it does, not the end of the world.
I've got those. I bought a couple of those, but I bought some nice ones too. My wife thinks I have a problem, but I'm
with the guitars.
I'm like, babe, you have no idea what a real guitar problem is. I think I got I don't know, 6 or 7.
Oh, dude, you're good.
Up in my office, And
it's the same thing, man. If you know what you're doing and you're taking good care of it, which I'm sure you are, a lot of my stuff is just been on the road and stuff, so it's kind of
yeah.
I know it's going to get beat up one day. I do. So what I have been doing recently is I'll go to Carter Vintage or
love it.
It's a Gruen.
Gruens. Yeah.
And I'll play the really expensive ones
Mm-hmm.
to see if it makes me feel
sure.
I wrote with Jordan Reynolds the other day, and he just got a new baritone acoustic.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, dude, as soon as I played it, he was like, the songs were falling out.
No way.
So I'm waiting. I'm curious.
I think there's a lot of truth to the feel of a guitar. Just cheesy as it may sound, but it's speaking to you and having its own thing.
Right.
And I bought one at Gruen's probably, I don't know, about 2 months ago. I went in. I was killing time between a writing session and getting my hair cut, and walked in, and they had a Guild, an old 1970 something Guild, back in the back behind, because they have all those guitars kind of accordion on the
Yeah,
wall.
you're like, am I allowed to play these?
Yeah.
Or-
And sometimes I'm weird about that. You know?
I know.
And
Well, you kind of got to like,
they watch you, dude, to see if like,
Yeah.
okay, that guy's picking, like, I was playing like an old James Taylor song.
like he knows.
And he was like, yeah, that guy's all right. But I'm like, don't mess up, dude. Don't mess this up.
Dude, this is like a Guitar Center when you're like in the nice room and you're trying to like, you're like, all right, I gotta knock out my 3 good licks right now. So they know.
Yeah, it's just a little stairway down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. But, dude, and I'm kind of that way with shotguns too, man.
Really?
Yeah, I've got a couple that my grandfather passed to my dad.
Dude,
my
that's
dad gave to
awesome.
me, and then my brother's got some that were handed down, and you know he's got 2 little boys now and a little girl, and I've got 3, and you know.
Yeah, dude.
We'll see. I've got them in a safe somewhere. I keep them clean, and
Yeah,
you know.
I'm getting into more of that stuff.
Yeah.
Just stuff that maybe will be there after you're gone.
Sure.
Like my dad we talked about the watch earlier, but he like let me borrow a book when I was at his place for the holidays, and like I started reading it the other day, and he like made some highlights
awesome.
and little notes, and I was reading it, I was like, oh, this is really cool.
I love
like
it.
I'm kind of I feel like I'm
That was important to him. There's something about that
Yeah.
paragraph or whatever that meant something to him. It makes you read it a few times.
It
and,
does.
you know.
And you go like, all right, cool. And it kind of gets you thinking about like, what am I, with children. I don't have any kids yet, but it's very like clear. You want to leave something. You want to leave a legacy. You want to impart things on them, right?
Sure. Absolutely.
I
So
don't
much
know.
of that is, I feel like what we do professionally.
Yeah.
And I think that, my wife has always made comments about like, I want the girls to see that it is okay to do what you love to do.
Yeah.
Dude, and
that's awesome.
you should do what you love to do, because there's many times in what we do that it's like, do I just need to go get a real job? I went to school, like I got a degree in something
Time
else.
for that accounting, I think I'm going to go into it.
So, but I don't. She's pulled me out of the gutter a few times, and with comments like that, like, no, I want the girls to see that you love what you do, and
Dude,
that's a great thing to do.
Yeah,
a great thing to chase.
You need somebody in your life like that.
Oh, she is incredible.
I'm sure we'll get into it later, but like, when I kind of had my first big career blow,
Gut punch.
Yeah. I mean, there were a few, but this was a big one when I realized I wasn't going to be at this label anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a couple years ago now.
I know.
But man, I was having all those thoughts of like, what am I supposed to do? Is this the end of the road? Do I need to go do something else? And I remember she just said, you're way too close.
Yeah.
Like, this has nothing to do with how talented you are and like what you can accomplish. This is just something that's happening. And
I know, man. There's a bunch of them. Those road bumps those speed bumps are
little gut check, man.
Yeah, man. But dang, they hurt, don't they, Troy?
It hurts, man. It hurts. It never doesn't hurt.
I know, man. Golly, and there's so many of them.
Yeah. But you just you persevere.
That's right, baby.
And then you learn a little bit.
Yep.
And they never don't hurt, but you go, okay, this is hurting, but I know from experience it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, dude.
I'm gonna find my way out of this one.
Yeah. The skin gets tougher, and you just like, all right, there's another one.
Yeah.
See what happens. We'll get up tomorrow. And I think you do learn to not get as attached to things, though.
Mm-hmm.
You learn to, I don't know if you love, I think you love it the same, but you cautiously.
Oh yeah.
Cautiously love it, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, I think you get burnt on stuff, and you just go, all right, that hurt.
Ow.
If I do this again, I wonder how I could protect myself from it hurting.
Yeah.
So you work that one out, but there's always another way.
Sure.
Absolutely.
It's
It's like you protected for the jab, but then they got you with the right hook,
Get you that uppercut.
That's right.
Dang, the uppercut, dude.
Yeah. So how long have you been in town?
So I've been in town for coming up on 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where from?
Shreveport, Louisiana.
Straight here?
Yeah, man. Well, I went to LSU.
Nice.
Out of
Classic.
high school. Yeah. and studied environmental science. So
okay. What did you think you were going to do?
I thought I was going to go work in the oil field.
Okay.
Because where I'm from in Louisiana, there's a lot of oil and gas production.
Yeah.
So, when I graduated, or when I went to LSU, I just thought, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I just knew people were going to work in the oil field and making a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I was like, I guess I'll just do that.
Right.
And when I was at LSU, I'd interned with a company that was drilling natural gas production.
Mm-hmm.
And so I graduated from LSU, and then I was playing in bars. And I did that for like 6 months in Baton Rouge and kind of travel around Louisiana.
Yeah.
Just having the time of my life, Troy.
Yeah.
And I would play 3 nights a week, paying my bills. I wasn't asking my parents for money, but they're kind of looking at me like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Are you got a degree. You going to go to work?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I want to right now. And also, I wasn't really getting hired. Like, the job, they weren't knocking on my door to hire me.
Yeah, this would have been...
So it was 2009.
Yeah, so it's kind of a rough time for the
exactly.
economy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess after about 6 months after graduation, playing in bars, my boss that I'd interned with called me. He's like, hey, you want to come to work? And I went and interviewed for a job. And, your first job, oil and gas, it's a good check.
Yeah.
Company truck, benefits. And I was like, all right, yeah, I'll do it. And 2 weeks into it, I was like, I made a terrible mistake.
Really?
They put me on was working on an oil rig or a gas rig in North Louisiana. A young guy, college boy.
Yep.
And every roughneck just had it out for me, buddy. But, my parents, I wanted to quit. My dad was like, look, just do it for a year.
Yeah.
You can do anything for a year. They're training you. They're paying you.
Mm-hmm.
Do it for a year. And it was the best advice I'd ever gotten.
Really?
I think at that age, you need to learn how to get up and go to work and be at work on time.
Yeah.
Pay your bills.
That's right.
And so I did it. And a year to the day I started, I quit.
Wow.
And walked in my boss's office, and he knew I'd been playing music. And I was like, man, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah.
I just got to go to Nashville. And he was like, I know.
Yeah.
And he shook my hand, and he
That's
said,
cool,
well,
man.
I don't know anything about Nashville, but just go up there and treat it like a 40-hour-a-week job, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If that's going out and shaking hands, writing songs, playing in bars, just work your butt off. And he said, and as I was leaving, I went to open the door, and he's like, hey, if it doesn't work out, you can come back.
Yeah.
And but honestly, dude, I think he knew.
Yeah.
I think he knew that I was going.
But you learned a lot about perseverance and sticking to something.
That's right, man.
You made a commitment. And
yeah, and I was a kid, I guess I was 23, and I didn't really you just, there's so much to learn, man.
Yeah.
But it also helped too. I'd save some money, and
yeah,
I was able to move up here and
did you have to give the truck back?
Crazy dream. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all right. I bought a 4Runner.
It was all right.
I needed something more, gas efficient. So,
yeah.
But yeah, came up here and got after it, man.
That's awesome.
And
when you were playing in bars and stuff, like, and were you still playing in bars, like, kind of during this job, or?
I was, yeah. Not as much, not as frequent,
right.
but it'd be like once, twice a month.
Were you doing like just like bar band stuff, covers, or
yeah.
were you sneaking some originals in there? Like, what
I
was
would. It's mainly, just stuff I grew up on.
Yeah.
I grew up on 90s country.
Yeah.
But a lot of, James Taylor, Jim Croce, like a lot of that kind of stuff that I would sprinkle in there, and I'd kind of started writing a little bit. And, like you play, you're like, this is one I wrote. And everybody's like, cool, man.
Yeah.
Play something,
Yeah, play something we know.
Yeah, but you're kind of, I was getting my feet wet
on
what the response was going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was doing it.
And I feel like there's something to playing in a bar. I don't know how long these sets were. When I started out in Texas, it was like, these 3-4 hour sets.
Yeah.
You're learning all these songs and you're getting tips, and then they're coming up and they'll give you a 20. They'll say, play George Strait or whatever. So you start to learn the hits because you want to get that money.
Got to get that money.
Yeah.
I would do that.
Yeah. And then you go, all right, I'm learning about what's working, what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And sometimes, the slow songs still work, and all that stuff. But it is like it's an education. Being on stage can be a huge education.
It was. I feel like it was,
Yeah.
man. I feel like you cut your teeth doing that, and I had a ball, man. I had such a good time. But you know, there were some. It never felt like work. Just playing, you know, and you know everything that came along with that. The buddies, the girls, you know.
Oh
man,
man,
it was fun, man. It was Baton Rouge.
The free drinks, you know.
Yeah, dude. It was. It was a. You had the band tab, and
man.
You know, you're making $150 and you're rich.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Yeah, it don't take much when you're just a young buck.
Yeah, but I did fall in love with it. It was like the first open mic night, man. Like, I played 3 songs. A girl I was dating was in a sorority down there, and she was like, "Hey, you should do this," you know.
Yeah.
And I just invited my friends. She invited her friends, and they all showed up. And I think I played the same 3 songs 3 times in a row. You know, it's what I knew.
Yeah.
But I knew I loved it. I knew I was like, man, I got to keep doing this. So I went and learned some more.
Yep. That's it, man. Then you're hooked.
Yeah.
So you come up here to Nashville.
Yeah.
You know anybody?
So
what are you doing?
I have an uncle that was actually with him this weekend. We were hanging out, and he is a songwriter, and he had some success in the 90s. So he had 2 number 1s with Tracy Lawrence.
Wow.
He wrote Better Man, Better Off and Today's Lonely Fool for Tracy Lawrence.
Awesome.
So when I was a kid, man, it was like, dude, there's songwriter. All your buddies think like, oh, Tim McGraw wrote that or Tracy Lawrence wrote that.
Right.
They sing it, they wrote it. And I kind of knew the ins and outs of like, no, man, there's this whole community of like guys that write the songs, and my uncle was one of those guys.
Okay.
So it's my dad's younger brother, and I came up and I lived with him for, I guess about 2 months. I just lived in his basement until I could get my bearings about the town. You kind of want to know where you want to be.
Yeah, where you want to live.
So where you can afford, you know, and that whole thing. And so, but he did kind of introduce me to some guys he was writing with, and, you know, but I also think there was some tough love on his end.
Yeah.
That was good.
Let you figure it out.
Yeah, at the time I thought like, man, he's tough.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the right thing. He was like, you gotta go meet your crew. You gotta go meet your tribe and meet people that are gonna lift you up with them. Because he was like, look, man, he wasn't like I'm the upper echelon, but he was like, I cut my teeth. You gotta go cut yours.
Yeah.
And it was good advice.
Absolutely.
So
where'd you find your people?
I went to ASCAP and this is cool. My dad had done some work for Troy Burgess, Troy Burgess's mom. Troy Burgess is from my hometown.
Okay.
So my dad had done some work for Troy Burgess's mom, and I love the story. Dad told his mom I was in town.
Yeah.
So she calls Troy. I was like, hey, you need to call Jacob Davis. He's a young kid. He's there. And I'm sure Troy was like, oh, my gosh. Kidding. Anyway, my phone rings, and Troy called me. Wow. He said, hey, we need to go get some coffee. And, you know, from Shreveport, we went to the same high school. And so we had coffee, and he introduced me to Beth Laird, who was at BMI at the time.
Okay.
And Leanne Phelan, who was at ASCAP.
Yeah.
And so I went and met both of them. And Beth, it was like her last day at BMI. They were going to start Creative Nation, her and Luke.
Yeah.
And Barry. And Leanne was at ASCAP. And so I just signed at ASCAP. And then kind of the ball started rolling. And Robert Philhart at ASCAP started introducing me to publishers. And I signed a deal in like 8 months.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
That
as you know.
Crazy. Yeah, absolutely.
You
know, where was that first deal at?
It was at a company called Rensong.
Okay.
You remember Rensong?
I definitely know the name. I'm not super familiar.
The building was right there on Music Row.
Okay.
Next to the Music Row magazine building, the old building.
Yep.
And Ree Geyer ran that publishing house. And she had John Randall was there, Trevor Rosen was there, awesome. Ashley Monroe was there, John Wiggins. You know, she had a good stable of writers. Yeah. And I was just this pup that I didn't even know how to co-write, Troy. I mean, you don't know how to.
Right.
You know, you just have a few songs that you'd written by yourself.
Yeah.
And she signed me to, I believe that she took a chance and paid me, you know, my draw, which is nothing, a starter draw to learn how to co-write. And it was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And like, did you take to it pretty quick, learning how to co-write? And
yeah,
did you think you knew?
No, man, I didn't. I think that I'm pretty good with people.
Yeah.
And I get along with most everybody.
Yeah.
And I just kind of went in and was like just making buddies and making friends and trying to learn.
Yeah.
And I don't ever remember really having ruffled feathers or anybody getting upset like, no, I'm right, trust me. I don't remember that. It was just kind of like, oh, this song sucks, or this song's good, or we don't know what's good and what sucks anyway.
Yeah.
But I just remember loving it. And but the artist thing was like, that's what I'm gonna do, and this is what you have to do to get there. Yeah,
it's like the first rung of the ladder.
Exactly.
Get a publishing deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I kind of had that in my sights.
Yeah.
And fought for it.
And were you still like playing shows at this point, or were you focused on writing and trying to, like, I presume, like, get a record deal, find a manager, do all that stuff? Like, how did that go?
I really didn't play that many shows.
Okay.
When I got my first deal, it was mainly just writing and trying to figure out my sound. Remember those sayings, like, figure out your sound, you figure out who you are. And I was like, okay, so you're writing all these songs. And I would still play. I'd still go back to Louisiana and, kind of play those same venues that I'd started doing.
Yeah.
And then playing writer nights around town, at taps and doing the whole thing.
Yeah.
But not as much. I feel like I lost a little bit of that.
Yeah.
For a minute, getting caught up in writing songs, which wasn't a bad thing.
No, and I think that's common. When I moved here from Texas, like, I was probably 26, almost 27 when I moved here. So I'd been playing 150 shows a year in Texas.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the only lever I could pull. Like, I went away for college. I went back to Dallas.
Yep.
And when I started,
you go to Berkeley?
I did.
That's right.
And then when I moved back to Texas, it was like, all right, first year, just trying to find anywhere that'll have me play.
Yeah.
Coffee houses, bars, and then, okay, you start to play, you get shows at the good bars locally, and then it's like, cool, well, I wonder if I could play this show in Austin, so then you kind of start to slowly expand. And then you look up a few years later and it's like, all right, I'm kind of regional now. And then I got introduced to somebody in Nashville, Jake Gear, publisher.
Yeah, I love Jake.
And then once I met him and realized that there was this community here, it was like, oh, okay, I got to get up here, So I was trying to do both.
Yep.
And then once I got up here, it was like, all right, I cannot focus on all of this.
Yeah.
So you do kind of like let everybody's different, of course, but
sure.
I was like, all right, some of these shows aren't making as much sense. So I need to just learn more here in Nashville. And then, and then I don't know, ever since then, it's just like a balancing act of like different things.
That's right. And there's the whole like big fish, small pond thing too, that I was like, man, I know I want to be here. And you get close enough to it when you move to town where you see some of these guys that you've become kind of running the same circles with. They're like getting record deals, and you're like, dang, man, I'm going to keep at this. I feel good. And the ball's rolling. It's creeping, but it's rolling.
It feels that way anyway.
Sure. But in my case, it was like when I signed a publishing deal that quick.
Yeah.
It's a blessing and a curse, because you have a deal and you're like, man, this is awesome. You see kind of like, all right, there's that reassurance of like, I need to be here.
Yeah.
This is right.
A little validation.
And then on the flip side of that, it's like, well, I need a record deal now.
Mm-hmm.
I just signed a publishing deal. Somebody's going to give me a record deal.
Yeah.
In the next 8 months. That's just how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And you find out that's not how it works, So,
yeah.
But anyway, so I wrote for Ree for 4 years.
Wow.
And she's a great lady. Took a chance and
yeah.
Yeah.
Learned a lot.
That's right. Right. I learned a whole lot.
So what was that process like for you? You know, how you did get a record deal eventually,
I
right?
did. Yep.
And then how long was that? How long did that take? You know?
So I wrote for at Rensong for 4 years, and then when my deal was up, I had talked to some other publishing companies about going somewhere else or figuring out what my next move is.
Yeah.
And that's always a weird thing too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's this vested interest money wise, and just it gets emotional and things like that.
Yeah.
But I wound up leaving, and Black River Entertainment offered me a record deal.
Okay.
And I also, my publishing went there as well. They were separate, but so I signed a publishing deal first.
Gotcha.
And then a few months after that, a record deal. They offered me a record deal.
Gotcha.
And it was kind of like their second signing after Kelsey Ballerini. So I was like the first male act.
Yeah.
Signed over there. So it was an exciting time, man.
Dude.
And
absolutely, man.
I was working hard and, writing great songs and trying to figure out like, okay, what's this artist thing gonna look like?
Yeah.
And we released the first single, and my brother was signed to Universal Records, and it's the first time that like two brothers had been signed to separate labels.
Oh, interesting.
And my single came out, his single came out. One worked and one didn't, Troy. So,
yeah,
it was just I laugh about it now, but it was tough.
Yeah,
it was tough.
Yeah, how did you navigate that? Was that kind of gut punch number one?
Oh my gosh, you kidding? It was like, me and Jordan are competitive.
Yeah, as brothers are.
That's right. And but we're also, he's my best friend in the world.
Yeah,
hands down. And everything has obviously worked out the exact way it's supposed to. But at the time, man, you put so much emphasis and so much like everything into. I'm an artist. I got a record deal. He's doing his thing, and there was always like, he had played some music, but he was always like, he was with me when I was going into a bar, and he would help me carry a guitar case in or set up an amp and then drink on a bar tab.
Yeah, man.
And we were having the time of our life.
Yeah.
So when that happened, it was like, all right, and we're celebrating, and like, dude, this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
We're both going to radio.
We're taking
two
over.
brothers, and we're all seeing just bright lights, and like, dude, this is gonna be incredible.
Yeah.
And I had a songwriter buddy of mine tell me one time, I'm very close with, but he said, one of y'all is gonna work. And I remember thinking, no, dude, this is gonna be two brothers like top of the charts. And he was like, one of y'all's gonna work.
Wow.
And that was one that hit me.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, dang, man, what if he's right? And I saw Jordan's song just and then I was kind of like, hey, what's going on? What's up with radio? Or is it not working? You know?
What's how many ads we get this week?
That's right. Oh God, Troy, that was. How many ads did we get? We got one this week. We didn't get anything this week, and you kind of see that. Yeah,
it's painful. I remember when they took my song to radio. This is a random, kind of a weird story, but I discovered later that there's like country music radio forums.
Uh-huh.
And I found, so when a song goes for ads, they'll make its own post where people can comment. And I didn't see this at the time. I saw this year and a half later.
After
it had all,
okay.
Done its thing or not done its thing or whatever. Yeah. But man, the day it got added, somebody commented like, this song isn't going to work, and here's all the reasons why.
Oh gosh, dude.
And just reading that back, I was like, man, it takes so long for somebody to finally tell you the truth.
Yeah.
You got all this hope, and my situation was, it was during COVID, so it was all over Zoom, and it was just like dude, gut punch, man.
I know,
it
man.
just hurt.
That was a tough one to navigate.
Yeah.
Because whenever I saw things not necessarily working in my favor as an artist, It was hard on my brother too.
Really?
Yeah. And I remember him, he called me up and he's like, hey man, we got to go have breakfast. And so we went to Athens on 8th Avenue. It's not there anymore. And we sat down and we talked, and he was very upfront with me about like, I'm trying to figure out how to go through this too, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I know that this is a struggle on your end, and more so you than me, just because it's your song and it's your deal and it's your life. He said, but we sit together at Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we're very close. Yeah. So we got to figure out how we're going to do this. Yeah. And I think at the time I wasn't really ready to hear it. I was just kind of like, all right, I'm going to figure out. I got another single. We're going to do this whole thing. And but you know, I commend my brother for doing things like that.
That's awesome.
He was very much like, hey dude, brothers first. All right. Yeah. This is business. This is the music business. All right. So we just got to figure out how we're going to do this. And we did, you know. Yeah. I mean, and it's been, you know, I had my oldest daughter was born at the time, and then when the label started talking about the second single, my wife was pregnant with number 2. Yeah. And I just didn't feel the same, man. Yeah. I didn't feel the pull. I just kind of, my writing, I had my brother's second single. Yeah. Take It From Me, which was a hit. Yep. And I was like, man, I think I'm going to write songs. Yeah. I really love doing it. And
how did you, was it like a lightning bolt moment where like it hit you one day, you were like, you know, I think this is the direction I want to commit to, or was it like a slow, does that make sense?
It felt like a mixture of both. It was like a feeling kind of was in my gut of like, maybe I don't need to do the artist thing. And then it's like the next day it was a bigger feeling in my gut. And then it just kind of slowly crept up on me to where, like, you know, and I prayed about it like crazy, and I just talked with my wife about it. And, you know, I just thought like, I'm feeling a real pull towards stepping away from that at that capacity. Right. At this exact time, and just really focusing in on writing songs. And, the hardest thing was letting the team know, like your management, your booking. Yeah. You know, everybody, your band. Yep. Like, guys, I'm sorry, and I don't really know how to do this, but I'm going to step away from this and write songs. And I think like everybody was like, we get it, dude. Yeah. We understand.
But you build it up.
Oh my gosh.
All those conversations, they're
dude,
hard to have.
I played what those conversations want to go like in my head in the most negative way.
Oh, of course.
And they never end up being that way.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, no one's surprised. They're like, well, man, maybe you'll, and when I was off of Black River, you know, off the label, we talked to other labels about maybe another record deal. And I just would go into these meetings and be like, I was point blank asked, do you want a record deal? After I'd ask off of that one, and I was like, I don't know. Yeah. And the head of the label was kind of like, well, why don't you think about it? And then maybe let us know. And that was my answer. Yeah. You know, they heard everything they needed to hear, as did I. Right. You know.
But you didn't even know, you know.
No, man. Yeah. You know, I just kind of was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna just write songs. And then, you know, the label, I feel like, well, the town, it felt like it took the town a year to really take me as a writer. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because, and I'm sure you went through a lot of that as well. Yeah. But it's like, well, who are we writing this song for? And I'd be like, well, I'm just writing songs. And it's like, well, you know, bigger writers.
Why am I here?
What am I doing? If you're not do you don't have a record deal anymore, you know? Yeah. It was never anything bad. You know, no one was ever rude to me about it, but.
No, it's just, you know, honestly, I think mentally it's the hardest part of just walking through, you know, and I'm sure in some ways you're still walking through it. I know I'm walking through it of like, it's like, cool. Well, I can do this. This could work. I try and look at it as a positive. Yeah. This song, I can still release it as an artist, but I'm also a songwriter, and I'm getting cuts with these people.
Yep.
So like to me, this is an asset, right?
Sure.
You know, we can use this song. It could go a lot of different places.
That's right.
Which is, I think, what you always want with a song.
Yeah.
You know,
man.
And
Absolutely.
nowadays more than ever, it's like, you know, access. Who can songs get to? And
yeah.
And I'm sure just from, you know, I think I've learned from even from being an artist, like, you know, I have a lot of access to other artist buddies, you know?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It all works together, but it's very scary at the time because
Yeah,
you're just scared to navigate that.
And being in town and being a good dude.
Yeah.
That goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just being here and showing up.
Yeah.
And you know, I got some great advice whenever I first moved to town. I'd ask a songwriter, and I don't know if he's still here anymore, but he goes, I said, what advice do you have, like, for just kind of up and coming guy, just moving to town? And he goes, don't go home. And I remember thinking, like, what's up? And he goes, just don't go home. Just hang around.
Yeah.
And, you know, cream rises to the top, that whole thing. And so, but I knew, man. I knew. I was like, this is where I'm going to be. I'm going to write songs, and what happens, but I'm going to be in this industry.
Yeah,
and
I'm going to be here.
Great friends, and watch buddies of mine, my brother included, just ride a rocket ship.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
pretty cool, man.
it's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
You having fun?
I'm having a blast.
Good.
I'm having a blast. I really am. The scary times of, like, all right, I don't know what this is going to look like. Yeah. Just being a writer, and, you know, there's a lot of artistry to the writer side as well.
And that was something I was thinking when you were talking earlier. It's like, you know, because of the way that Nashville is, the industry is, we tend to separate being a songwriter versus being an artist. But great songwriting, like, is artistry.
Absolutely.
You know,
man.
like one of my favorite artists I was writing with him today, like Benji Davis is an artist. You know, he's a songwriter as well, but like what allows him to write all these great songs and have the success that he's having is because he's an artist, man.
You know, Benji was like the man whenever I was probably in high school.
Yeah.
Because the Benji Davis Project in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Like, that guy. And now we write at the same company.
Yeah.
It write, you know, a lot. I love Benji.
Yeah.
But you're exactly right. It's like there's the artistry of how we voice a song, how we sing a work tape. Mm-hmm. You know, and how that gets to other artists or what they hear. So
yeah,
there's a lot to that.
And I think that once you, I know for me, especially recently, I've realized, like, oh, okay, there's kind of a way that so, you know, if you have a certain type of song that's starting to get some traction, or you're getting cuts with that type of song, it's like, all right, this is kind of like my identity.
Yeah.
You know, my brand, whether that's as an artist or a songwriter, and you start to go, all right, how do I lean into this? Because now when A&R people or other artists are hearing songs like this, they're gravitating towards them.
Yeah.
You know, so you start to lean into that.
That's right,
and
man.
That's artistry. That's what that is.
That's exactly right. I mean, and we've heard all that. It's like you move to town and you try to write like whoever else is hot, or trying to write whatever the hot artist is looking for and trying to sound like them. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I got to write Jacob Davis songs.
That's right.
And put my flair on a song that me and Troy Cartwright write together.
Yeah.
It's got to be a mixture of both of us,
mm-hmm.
you know? And so, but dude, it took me being in town a long time to be confident.
Yeah.
Of like, no, these are songs I write. This is how I write a song, and this is what they sound like.
Yeah, this is what I do.
And then you get that compliment of like, hey, or your publisher or whatever, like, hey, we're looking for some Jacob Davis songs. Can you send us some? And like, first time you hear that, you're like, oh,
yeah,
look at that.
Hey,
come on.
Yeah, man.
You know,
that's special.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So, but dude, it's been wild.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
Well, let me go back a little bit. We were talking about your first number one. Like, what did that? I always like to ask people. Do you remember? Like, I want to hear a little bit about that journey. About, you know, obviously, you've family ties, so you probably knew at a certain point, maybe earlier than most, like it was gonna be a single.
Yeah.
And then was that rise, you know, from it going for ad day? Like, how was that? How did that feel? And then also like when it went number one, like,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah, man.
just walk me through it.
Well, me and Jordan and Jason Gant wrote that song.
Okay.
Before either of us had a record deal.
Wow.
You know, it was an old song, but we knew it sounded different. Take it from me. You know, it was just, it had a vibe to it. It felt good. It was just like, you know, it just sounded like it could be a hit.
Yeah.
You know, but we don't know. I don't know.
Right.
So anyway, Jordan signed a record deal. They cut that song. I knew it was going to be on the record, you know, the whole thing, and I was excited about it. But during all that time, I was trying to do the artist thing too. You know, so I was like, I didn't cut it. He cut it. We were kind of, you know, forging those different paths. So Singles You Up, first one, you know,
right.
and then Take It From Me came, and he told me it was going to be a single, and I was like, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and Ad Day was good. He had done all the radio work.
Yeah.
He had gone and played every Podunk radio show and wherever U.S. So they were ready to play second single, and it did well for second single.
Yeah.
And when it went to number one, I was in Charleston, South Carolina with my wife, and I think that you know how it works, like when they go number one on the West Coast or whatever, and there's the time change or something, it has to go until East Coast closes out.
Right.
And so whenever it closed out, I was asleep, and we got number one, and Jordan called me. Wow. And he's like, hey, you asleep? And I was like, yeah, man. It was, you know, 1 o'clock or whatever time. He goes, you sleeping on the number one song in the country, son? And I was like, really? Dude, and I was freaking out.
That's so awesome.
And so he was coming to Charleston. Anyway, we hung out the next day in Charleston together, my wife and him and his wife, and
that's so cool.
Celebrated. And that's just a real moment, man.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, we have a number one song in the country together, brothers.
Crazy.
This is nuts.
Yeah.
You know, and all those times where like, I know our parents wanted to kill us. It's like, what are they doing? What are y'all doing? And they were always like, y'all watch out for each other. If y'all are up there together, y'all look out for each other. And now they don't ask what we're doing anymore. They get it.
They probably think they're doing pretty good.
They're okay. They'll be all right. So
yeah.
But yeah, that was the first one, man. Me, Jordan, me and Jason's first number one. Wow. And it's kind of puts you on the map, kind of gets things going.
Yeah.
And then you immediately think, well, when's the second one coming?
That's it. Staring up that mountain again, dude. Gotta go climb.
That's right. And it hit me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did it feel good for before it started hitting you that you had more work to do?
That one probably lasted until it dropped down to number two. You know?
Yeah.
So not long, Troy. It was kind of like when it went down, it was like, oh boy, you know, what do we, you know, what's next? And it's a while, you know, you grind and you forget, you don't even really think about it anymore. It's just like, I gotta figure out what's next. We got to work hard, and you put a lot of pressure on yourself, man. Show up and write the song, but you can't help but not.
I know.
You know?
But it's hard. You know, there's so much that's uncontrollable.
Yeah.
You know, showing up.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like sometimes even just showing up, being in the room, which like is in itself to me like always a gift. To get to write songs is so unbelievable to me.
I know.
And then some days I'm in the room and I'm fighting myself.
Yeah, dude.
You know? And it's not even about the song. It's about all this other stuff, or the dog's got to go to the bed, or you know, your wife said something that just takes you out of it, and like,
and that can ruin me.
Me too, man.
Dude, if me and my wife are like, and she knows this too, but if like we have a argument or whatever, like a day before or you know, the morning before, right, and it's not fixed, I can go into a write, have a crappy write, and then be mad at her when I get out, because like it was her fault, you know, and I can easily, you know, it's just like we're just vulnerable people, Troy. We can't help it, dude. Like,
I know.
We live in our emotions, and you know, I'll be the first one to admit it.
Yeah.
But you say that, dude. Like, I wish I was more that way. I wish I was that way all the time, man.
Yeah.
To walk into a room and be like, I'm writing a song today.
I know.
And I'm a signed songwriter, and I'm going to write this song, and someone's going to listen to it.
Yeah. People are going to hear this.
Yeah,
know?
dude. Whether it makes a radio, a cut, a single, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to write this song. I'm going to be proud of it. I have gotten into the place as a writer to where I don't think about it much whenever I'm done with it.
Yeah.
I enjoy it for that day, and then I go home.
Yeah.
And
you live your life.
And live my life, man. And try not to put, stock is not the right word, but try not to put too much, what am I looking for? Try not to put too much, not heart, but.
Like, it's almost like I try not to attach too many hopes and dreams on any individual thing. I try and focus on, all right, I'm going to do this work today.
Yep.
I'm going to be proud of what I did and it's almost like a working mentality of like, I got this job to complete today.
Yeah.
I'm going to feel good about doing my job.
Sure.
And beyond that, I really can't control it. And that's not always true, right? There's always some extra steps that you can take with certain songs, whether that's getting it demoed.
Yeah.
Taking care of that. Maybe you think it's right for a certain artist, so you're going to take the time to like highlight that to your publisher, or maybe you know him, you're going to send it to him.
That's right.
But even then, I've tried to get way less like, I used to be so scared about, I'm going to text this artist right now. I'm going to text him this song. It's like,
and you're like friends with them.
I'm just going to send it. Sometimes I'm not like best friends with them.
Yeah.
We shared a beer one time.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, what are they going to do? Worst case, they're just not going to listen to it.
Yeah.
And
not respond.
Yeah. No one is ever, 9 times out of 10, they're just grateful that you thought of them to send a song. Like that's.
I think so. I believe that. I really do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I understand, everybody's busy.
That's right.
But that is right. You're right on that. I do go back and visit. Sometimes those are my Fridays.
Yeah.
I don't write too often on Friday. Unless it's something cool that pops up and I feel like it'd be a good opportunity.
Yeah.
But those are my days, man. I'll go back and listen to songs of the week that I wrote, and I'm like, that could be cool,
Yeah.
But as far as like the day it's done, I don't really, I
Pick
go back
at it too much.
Yeah, I reassess it on Friday and be like, that's awesome, man. That's a good week. And then there are days where like, that's a crap week, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it happens. And sometimes looking back, the right that you thought was no good is like the one that works for you.
That's right.
You just never know, man.
That's right, man. That's right.
I watched that. I don't know if you watched it on Netflix, that like Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary.
Yeah, I loved it.
Where he's like, be useful. I think that's what he says.
Yeah.
I think about that all the time because I get some days I'm just like depressed or I'm just like, everything sucks. I suck, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm like, all right, well, what can I do today to be useful? And
that's what his dad told him, right?
I think so,
like,
yeah.
Be useful. Yeah.
And sometimes it's like as simple as like, I need to pay my Amex bill today.
Yeah.
That's something useful I can do. But a lot of times when I do those little things, I'm like, oh, I'm actually not sad. Yeah. I was just sort of working myself into it.
Yeah. Be useful, and that applies to the room.
That's right.
That 100%, man. I mean, man, some days we just don't really have it. We're not always going to be just sharp and just spitting out lyrics, but like I've learned I'm not going to come in and just poop on a right.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to do it. I'm going to try to bring a good attitude. I'm going to try to bring a melody.
Yeah.
Something. And I've also gotten to where I feel like the longer that I've been in town, the more work before the work I've put in.
Yeah.
I think Brett Tyler was talking about that with you.
Yeah.
In here.
He was, yep.
It's just like, being prepared, and then you get in rights with guys like Brett or, hit songwriters.
Yeah.
They got something.
Every time
you get in a room with them, man. And I told myself, I was like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And that's my pre-write regimen is like, all right, me in my office at the house or whatever for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I gotta have something, because I don't want like some of these younger writers coming in too, just be like, oh man, I got nothing.
Right.
Well, you're gonna learn, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have something.
Got to.
So
sometimes you're scrolling pretty far down on the hook book, but there's
the
something in there.
That's right, man.
Yeah.
So, but just continuously trying to hone the craft, man.
Yeah.
And getting better and learning from guys that like are close friends of mine and also heroes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Like buddies that we've made in town that are just like monsters in a room. Like I don't ever take it for granted.
Yeah.
And these guys are, guys and girls that we get to work with, and I'm like, holy crap,
Yeah, man. I know it is crazy. I think the first episode that we did with Jimmy Bell, he's like talking about, and I'm paraphrasing probably poorly, but it's like, if you're here and you're in Nashville and you're doing the thing, like it's not long till you're working with your heroes.
Yeah.
And it really is that way. It's really cool.
That's so true.
To get to like do some of this. That's because, a lot of your writes are with your friends, but every now and again you're writing with like Craig Wiseman and you're just like, dude,
yeah,
this is wild.
I know. And learning, man, and just like try not to get intimidated.
Yeah.
Because, it's not the whole like they're people too. They're just like us. But it's like it kind of takes a little bit of the tension out of the room, man. Of being like, hey, man, Jacob Davis, I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana, and good to meet you. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I got this little thing I've been working on. That is when you can be like, oh, okay.
There you go.
Well, let me hear it.
Yeah.
And then just hope it doesn't suck.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's okay if it does.
It's okay if it does, man. You threw something out.
Yeah.
Dare to suck.
That's right. Well, what are some other like big milestones, pinch me moments that does anything come to mind of just like in your career so far that it's fun? It's fun to reminisce.
Just on like the ride.
Yeah, on the ride, man. What are some parts of the ride that you've really enjoyed?
Man, there's a bunch.
Yeah.
It's like, just most recently is Song of the Year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good one.
That's a pretty good one, man.
Yeah.
By Dirt has been the gift that keeps on giving, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's so cool.
But there, man, there's a ton of them. There's just like trying to, the small ones, the big ones, the family stuff, my kids seeing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Getting to celebrate it with my wife,
Yeah.
and her just like being there for me and just kind of seeing me be happy and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And enjoying it.
Content.
Yeah, man. And because it's scary. There's a lot of scary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Did I make the right decision? Is this where I need to be?
Yeah.
And then, but continuously finding the reassurance of like, yeah, dude, this is it.
Yeah.
It's where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. When you wrote By Dirt, because that was you, Jordan, Josh.
Matt and Josh Jenkins.
Yeah, Matt and Josh.
Yeah.
So it's two sets of brothers.
Two sets of brothers.
I guess it's happened before.
Yeah, Jim Beavers.
Yeah,
and,
that's what I was thinking of.
And the Warren brothers.
Was that like Red Solo Cup or something?
Yeah, but they had Felt Good on My Lips too.
Yeah, that's
Tim
right.
McGraw. They kind of went on a heater, man. They kind of had some.
Dude, Felt Good on My Lips is one of the greatest songs I've ever heard.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
But we were the first set since those guys.
Yeah.
And
was that like, there was like the success, like it was a monster, went number one, but like was getting to like, did you think like, oh, this is going to win awards? Like, was that all?
Dude, I didn't.
Yeah.
We wrote it. We got a cabin out around Lake Murfreesboro.
Okay.
And we were there for, I want to say 3 days and maybe 2 days. And we got to the cabin the first night, and we wrote a song that just got cut. It was on Jake Owen's record.
Oh,
his last
cool.
record. We wrote a song called Somewhere South with Rum.
Awesome.
And that was when we started working in the kitchen, and we were like, man, this is awesome. It just felt good. It was like a beachy vibe. And, that was like the initial one. And when we wrote it, we were like, we're not going to top this.
Yeah.
And the next day we got up and I woke up a little later, but for those boys, it was like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And they were sitting out on the back porch drinking coffee. And, they're strong believers, as are me and my brother. And we were just kind of reading the Bible and, just talking about life and everything else, praying a little bit. And my brother had this title called Bought the Farm. Like, what else do you need when you bought the farm? That whole thing. And I had put in my phone this little note about something my father-in-law said when he bought this place in Colorado. And he just said, like, they're not making any more of it. He had gone and told his dad that he was looking at this piece of property in Colorado, and his dad looked at it and he said, go buy it. They're not making any more of it. And he was like, it's not for you, it's for those kids,
Yeah.
And so Matt just said, I got this title called Buy Dirt. And we were like, all right, that's cool, man. And as we were writing it, I said, what if it was like coming from an old man on a porch?
Yeah.
And so we wrote it, and honestly, Troy, like, it was quick.
Really?
Yeah, it fell out that morning, 2 hours, I feel like, and we knew it was special, but it was us and a guitar.
Yeah.
So you don't think like, oh yeah, this is hit. This is going to be on the radio.
Yeah.
You just thought like this will make the album. Maybe it feels good, and we knew Jordan loved it.
Yeah.
And this is awesome. We demoed the song. Jordan sang the vocal on it. We had that demo.
Yeah.
And somebody at the label said, why don't you send this to Luke Bryan and see what Luke thinks? And maybe he would want to sing on it with you, because Luke buys a bunch of farms, a bunch of properties. He's landowner.
Yeah.
Sent it to Luke, and I think Luke came back and was like, let me live with it, buddy. I'm out here in California. They were shooting Idol or whatever.
Yeah.
Like a week goes by, 2 weeks goes by, nothing. So then they're thinking about who else they can send it to. And Jordan's sitting on the couch with his father-in-law, and his phone rings, and it's Luke Bryan. And his father-in-law just picked the phone up and goes, you need to answer this. And Jordan answers the phone, and he's like, what's up, man? He goes, buddy, who'd you write this song with? And Jordan was like, I wrote it with my brother and Matt and Josh Jenkins. He was like, this is all I'm doing. And Jordan was like, what do you mean? He's like, all I'm doing is buying farms. He's like, I love it. He's like, when you want me to sing on it tomorrow? And he came and sang it the next day.
Wow.
Yes.
No way.
Dude, they lined it up. Paul D set it up.
Yeah.
Luke shows up, knew the second verse, chorus. They switched the bridge, sang one line the other. And then we're like, oh boy, like this is legit.
Yeah.
And I heard it, and I will never forget hearing that for the first time. Dang. I mean, just chills all over me, like hearing Luke's voice on something that you wrote.
Yeah.
And them together, and we knew like that was when we were like, oh my gosh, man, this might be something.
Yeah, there's a lot of signs here that this could be.
Yeah,
this could be a big song.
But like when you talk about single, Troy, that's when it got real.
Yeah.
Then I was like, all right, here we go. This might do something. And now to watch that song, man, like
it's awesome,
watch just how it affects anybody from 65 to 15.
Yeah.
And, it all came from real stuff.
Yeah, man.
It all came from real life stuff. And it really like got me fired up for country radio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
Because they were like, yeah, we see it. We're going to play this. And people are going to react to this.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, man, I hope so, And then you see it now, and it's like the phones come out.
Yeah.
You see videos of people, like, buying their first house and posting that video, and, it changed everything, man.
Dude, that's so special.
Yeah. And then at the awards, it was like, Reba just called our name, man. We got to go up and hug Reba.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was wild.
That's
And we love those boys. We're so close to them, and I wrote with them today.
Really?
Yeah. And
they're really great guys.
that's right.
Yeah.
They speak the same of you, buddy.
Oh,
yeah.
that's very
I told them I
kind.
was coming over to hang with you, so
Yeah.
say hi.
Josh, when I hadn't even moved to town yet, I'd played some shows with his band,
GRO.
That's right.
Yeah, man.
So he wrote a song with me.
I love it.
And I was like, man, this guy's so much better than me.
He's so cool. And he's so cool, man.
He's so cool and he's so nice.
So nice.
It's like the nicest person you've ever met in your life.
I know. You talk about like looking up to people. Like,
Yeah.
Like those guys are, and so many more, man. It's
Yeah.
just like,
It's cool, dude.
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But that one's going to be hard to top.
Yeah.
But again, Troy, it's like, you win that. And then you wake up the next day and you're like, oh, what's next?
How am I going to do it again?
No.
Oh my God.
But I've done a good job with this one of not like
just enjoying it.
Yeah, just because that's rare, man.
Yeah.
There's guys that have 10, 15 number ones and don't sniff CMA awards and ACM awards. So,
dude, that's awesome.
But we wrote something real.
Yeah,
and
it worked.
Yeah,
it connected.
That's right.
All right, last question. You got any advice? Somebody's moving to town, they want to write songs.
Yeah, don't go home. No,
that's pretty good.
I know. I just I really do feel that way though.
Yeah,
I mean, something about that stuck with me. I just thought, man, if you hang around and other guys and girls that you've had on this podcast have said it.
Yeah,
but it's like, be nice to people.
Yeah, man.
And work hard. How many like young girls that you've seen working at a receptionist or like guys working in a tape room or whatever that have climbed their way up and now they're like publishers.
Yep.
Song pluggers.
Yep.
And it's like we're all coming up together, man.
Yeah.
So the whole stepping on people's toes and stuff, I just don't feel like it gets you far, man.
Yeah.
You're
right.
So
be nice.
I try to take that approach, and I hope that my girls, I hope they see that too, man.
Yeah, dude.
Well, you can work hard and you can be a good person and work hard, man.
That's right. Yeah, you don't have to be like mean and cutthroat to have success at all.
I don't think so.
No. And a lot of times you encounter those situations, you're like, well, I'm not going to work with these people anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
You find out quick, man, like who you're going to work with and who you're not.
Yeah.
I've tried it.
Yep.
We don't mesh.
That's right.
That type thing. So
that's right.
We mesh though, Troy.
We do.
We do.
Yeah.
We do, buddy.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it.
Keep doing what you're doing. It's awesome.
Thank you, brother. All right. That's it. That's the pod. See you later. Thanks everybody for listening. Keep rating, keep reviewing, keep subscribing. We love you. Talk to you soon. Bye.